Let's go straight into game number 1. We're finally ready, so thank you everyone who's been watching along with us. We have the Paladin versus the Warrior to start things off, and Chakki is going to be on the play turn 1. With the early game hands here, looks like Terrence is going to be trying to go for some ability to control the board. Maybe if he has an opportunity to get some Patron Flood too. But until then, Chakki's going to stick with a very similar plan of just hero power passing, trying to control the board if he needs to.
I mean, Chakki's hand here is not great. You know, he has some cards that are good at dealing with sort of typical aggressive minions. Doomsayer, obviously, good against dealing with an opponent who's trying to flood the board early. But most of his cards here are fairly situational in terms of their value as removal, and doesn't really have great tools to play any kind of proactive game.
Yeah, it's quite slow. He probably needs to pick up True Silver Champion to be able to play something on the floor, and then maybe follow up with Kodo. On the other hand, Terrence, he has a weapon and he has free drops, so he should be able to apply some early pressure to be able to pressure the Paladin. The overall plan from Terrence is to pressure all the time to be able to catch Chakki off guard without healing and be able to finish the game with either a patron board that's unanswered or to finish him with a Grommash burst.
All right. Wow, choosing not to hero power at all, giving zero flexibility for his opponent to be able to get value off an Acolyte, or in another scenario, being able to damage itself to get value off a Battle Rage. Pretty advanced play. I know a lot of people might be like, well, did you just forget the hero power? That was a very deliberate move.
Well, we saw earlier Billy B playing against Terrence, and he made 2 recruits. They just died, fueling a Berserker, and he didn't even attack with them because he didn't want to turn on Battle Rage.
Right.
So Chakki taking that one step further, I'm not even going to make the recruits.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you any opportunity to perhaps coin out that Acolyte. We see it Terrence's hand, so very heads-up play from Chakki.
Yeah, and I mean, Terrence didn't have it in the hand, but it's not like Chakki knew that anyways because he knows that he's on the coin. Therefore, he could push it out. So already some pretty nice advanced moves coming out from our player from Indiana. Terrence just going to push out the Frothy Berserkers, the most aggressive move that he can make. And he's got a lot more power, too. You got a second Frothy Berserkers, and those things can go wild no matter how many humilities you put on them.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is a True Silver Champion for the next turn for Chakki, so that's something at least to work with. Do you play Doomsayer now?
I think you're not going to find many opportunities that Doomsayer is great in this matchup. There's the risk of your opponent having just a board that can kill it, the risk of executes. I think that potentially offering the exchange of Doomsayer for the Berserker and effectively for your opponent's 3rd turn because they can't actually play another minion is a good opportunity for Chakki here.
Yeah, it makes sense, but you definitely need to think about it because there are some buffs, and if it's super easy to just lose the Doomsayer, it might not be worth it.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and play that here, so Terrence doesn't have a great way to deal. Actually, with the Ghoul, it would be +3, so not enough. Or +2, rather.
Well, yeah, it'd only be +2,
right.
So the Frothy Berserker goes up to a 4/3, and that is just outside the range.
Yeah, Fiery War Axe could attack, but that
it.
only gives +1 to the Berserker, so he'd still be 1 out of range. So Terrence, it doesn't look like he has any way to actually deal with this Doomsayer.
So definitely attack face with the Berserker then. Just ignore the Doomsayer, but what do you do with the rest of the turn? You can play Fire War Axe, and normally you use the weapons to attack into minions to keep board presence.
And this is another ignore my hero power even existing. Terrence here, you know, sort of the opposite of what we were talking about earlier. He doesn't want to gain armor because he does want to trigger Battle Rage.
Yeah. And that's because he needs a lot of cards versus the control matchup. Whoever has more cards is going to go through, right?
Maybe they just have
a next level play.
Just a gentleman's agreement not to use their hero power ever. They're just like, all right,
I don't mind. Class identity is overrated.
Pretend these don't exist.
I want to clarify this is not a rule in the final. They can use their hero powers if they want to.
I don't know, maybe they just agreed to it. The 2 of them just had a conversation like, you know what? Let's make this interesting.
Well, what is interesting to me is that Terrence had the choice of equipping the weapon and then not doing anything. He just floated 3 mana straight up.
Yeah, that was a little surprising to me as well.
Yeah, and I feel like I can totally understand not wanting to hero power because of that. But at the same time, are you afraid of an acidic swamp ooze? Are you afraid of, you know, are you afraid of some of these cards? And if so, if so, then when do you ever plan on playing this weapon? Because it's later in the game, they're also going to be prevalent.
I think he was mostly afraid of ooze. Chakki is playing 1, right?
Yeah, we do know that Chakki does have Swamp Ooze. And another turn with just go, Terrence. Play no minion, play no weapon, use no hero power. Maybe he's just still disconnected.
I mean, he's deliberately ending the turn. I have casted a game a few months ago where one player pretended to disconnect and tried to fool his opponent and actually was playing the game entirely and then won the game anyways. He passed like the first 3 or 4 turns by pretending to disconnect. It was pretty next level stuff. I highly recommend you go check it out. And again, with another pass. I've seen this happen a few times, except it's usually Prix healing their own face and passing.
Yeah, you got to bluff the Frost Giant. You got to heal your own face.
Oh, you're right. You should bluff the Frost
You
Giant.
bluff the Frost Giant, you heal your own face. That's why you do it every time. Otherwise, your opponent knows they don't have Frost Giant in your deck.
If Terrence wins this game, this is probably one of the most next level games I've ever seen in Hearthstone.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, why is he not doing anything?
Well, this is an opportunity to play War Axe where it won't be killed. He gets at least the value of one swing of it, kills the Justicar True Art, and now he's going to start armoring up.
Yeah,
because he's taking that damage. Battle Rage is active.
But he just gave Paladin a couple of turns to draw cards.
A couple?
It's turn 7.
It's 7 mana crystals. And it's not even just 7 mana. It's like he's given him every turn before that 6 crystals, 5 crystals.
Right.
And it's just like, it's gotten to the point where there's been a lot of passivity, and I feel like there's 2 lines that you can go with in a matchup like Patron versus Paladin. There's either very aggressive, if you have the equality, you have it, but I have to flood the board, or there's this line, which Terran has taken, and I'm going to be super conservative and make sure to pick my timings, and then make sure to, when I do go in, it's going to be overwhelming, you can't stop it.
Yeah, he's basically saying, I'm going to have more cards, I'm going to have more threats than you have answers.
It's kind of like a Miracle Rogue approach in a way, where it's just like it goes in spurts. Like, sure, it's kind of like parrying back and forth. Maybe the True Silver hits a minion here, and you draw a card there. But in the end, all of a sudden, it's going to go from 0 to 60 real quick. And hopefully that catches Chakki off guard. But I mean, Chakki, I don't know how much he will be caught off guard, because he knows too what Terrence is trying to pull off here.
Yeah. Chakki has time, it seems, and this is turn 8. So if he would have the Ragnaros, he could just play it. Like, this is getting dangerous for turns as well.
Yeah, Chakki's deck has a lot of powerful late game threats. He has both Ragnaros. He has Sylvanas, Karin, N'Zoth, Tyrion. So as the game does go on, it's not like Terrence just has infinite time to try and wear down Chakki's removal. Chakki has ways to actually close out the game himself.
Yeah, and I think Chakki doesn't want to have to use the Kodo in this position, because Stampede Kodo with 2 humilities, it feels like you have a better opportunity to utilize that, especially if there's Bloodhood Braves in the deck as well. You might not even have to use humility. So instead, he chooses to use one of his 2 consecrations and just try to use the hero power to challenge. The more you can play these hero powers, I mean, it adds up over time, having these 2/2s in terms of stats.
Unfortunately for him, they are, in fact, 2 1/1s, which makes them a lot worse against Whirlwinds and Wild Pyromancers, and that's the kind of card that Patron Warrior has a lot of, and in fact, that Terrence has a lot of in his hand.
It's true. It is true.
It's really interesting to me, because it seemed like Chakki's hand wasn't that good in the very beginning, but now it's improving, and
all right,
he still has answers.
Well, this is the beginning of the March of the Patrons. Terrence cross his fingers and hope that Chakki can't answer it, and there is no equality.
Yeah, but he has a weapon equipped, so...
I mean, the use of that Consecration earlier, though, does mean that he doesn't have... If he does use Consecration here to kill the second copy of Grim Patron after he uses his weapon, he's kind of out of great ways to clear the board, other than Pyromancer with the equality.
He still has a Spellbreaker, so he can kill one of the dwarves and silence the other.
That is definitely an option.
Yeah, and the question becomes whether or not Chakki can deal with just 1 patron. He knows that the True Silver Champion can deal with 1 copy, and also he went a little bit light. You saw that he could go for a lot more patrons. He's got 2 Whirlwinds in the hand. He's got some other stuff, but right now this is more feeling out what the Paladin would do in this situation. He also can use the Stampeding Kodo if he wants to hold on to his Spellbreaker and also generate minion with a little bit more health. Because the Spellbreaker does get eaten up by the Fire Warrens.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks bad for Chakki, actually. It looks bad for Terrence, because Terrence probably hopes to bait out the removal that we talked about, but it's not being baited out.
Okay, he picks up the equality, though, and I think that's where Chakki feels really confident, because he dealt with the first wave of patrons. He's got the equality, so it feels like no matter how big the board is, he's going to be able to answer that.
Yeah, it seems so. Like, he has everything for now, and still he has Forbidden Healing to heal himself up if something happens. So what will be the move for Terrence? He still has a second patron that he was planning to use if the removal is out. But Chakki has so many cards.
I mean, here, Terrence, Chakki's still at a very high life total, so Terrence doesn't have the ability to really threaten too much burst. He did just pick up Grom, which, if he is able to get some more damage in, could be particularly threatening. I think that what he wants to do is leave Chakki in a situation where he's forced to use a lot of his mana to react to the board, and doesn't necessarily have enough left over to actually heal himself back up to deal with a big burst of damage from Grom.
Well, if he's doing that, he's taking a very passive route to do that. I was looking at maybe he could get aggressive to some degree, but he doesn't have the core Chrono Elites. The best aggressive move he could have made, well, short of just gromming right now, is to play a Frothing Berserker and try to load it up. But he knows that with that Truce over Champion, it's just not a very fruitful play.
Right.
And he needs that Frothing Berserker to be able to challenge more than just that.
Yeah, especially with Humility's other Peacekeeper on the other cards that can just reduce its attack back to 1. It's really tough. There is a core Chron pickup.
Yeah, it is direct damage. I think for now, though, now that he has an actual target to slam, we'll start off with that and see what he draws afterwards. I have to imagine it's also a prime candidate to just get the weapon axe here.
Inner Rage increases the damage potential a bit, so Grimash now it's 12 points of damage.
Does that mean he wants to go for it now? He can keep one Whirlwind for Grom, but he can choose to play another wave of Patrons. He can kill off the Sylvanas right here, play Grim Patron, Inner Rage, Whirlwind.
I think what he might want to do is maybe keep Grom Inner Rage and pick another Inner Rage to have this like number that Chakki will not be playing around. Like, what is the maximum damage potential that he can pull off here?
Well, if he does play, if he plays the Patron plus Whirlwind, and the thing is, he can actually just theoretically play Patron plus Whirlwind. Doesn't necessarily even need to use Inner Rage, because that board kind of threatens a similar need for Chakki to use his removal to clear it, which leaves him with more tools to possibly actually have burst here as well. But he is going to go ahead and fire off the Inner Rage, making a board that definitely demands an answer.
Yeah, he's going to go for the Patron creation here. I think Terrence is also really taking his time to think it, but he's cutting it very close to the rope. And I've seen my fair share of Patron players mess up a little bit because of that, so a little too close for comfort, if you ask me.
Well, for Chakki, it's a very easy play of Pyromancer with equality.
Yeah, I imagine that is what we will see, because this is the second Grim Patron, so he no longer has need for these board clears to ensure that Terrence can't get this massive board presence.
Sure. And then he can start hero powering again. And all of a sudden, the Paladin hero power not so bad against that warrior deck. You force him to use some more Whirlwinds, but it's not the end of the world.
Battle Rage, he can finally use it to draw a card.
And this is actually what, in many cases, when you're playing Patron against a control deck, you're kind of trying to set up. And I think that Terrence just felt that it was getting a little too long. He needed to do something, and then he pulled the trigger on those Patrons, and then immediately thereafter drew Battle Rage.
Okay.
Well, he still had a lot of cards in hand anyway, right? Like the Battle Rage, if he draws like 3 or 5 cards, it will be troublesome.
Okay. So he chose to... I was originally thinking that he was battle raging for 1, so that way he can use Fiery War Axe and Korkron to start getting really aggressive, push 7 to the face, put him at 14, and then have Grom as a potential way to kill. However, that all went out the window, and now Terrence is staring down a Ragnaros. A good thing he kept that execute, though.
Yeah, he has activators, he has an execute as well. He can deal with this board, but I still try to find a way to win afterwards. How do you kill Chakki from 21, where Chakki has both heals and answers to the minions?
Which just has to have 1 minion stick to the board and then hit it a couple times. Then it'd still be okay. I guess Terrence is really afraid of that Truce over Champion threatening minions here. Now that he has Bloodhoof Brave, maybe he starts using his Whirlwind and start climbing onto the board, because he does have the Grom in hand.
Well, he could have played potentially Pyromancer alongside that Execute and saved Whirlwind if he cared about that. If he was going to play the Brave as well.
Oh, you're right.
So it's a little, that was another option that he possibly had that turn. And I mean, he's frankly under a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
he's only at, arms up to 14. There's 4 minions on the other side of the board.
And a weapon.
And Chakki's going to keep making more, and there's Nazoth.
Dear.
I
mean,
does it actually get anything yet? I think there was the Sylvanas.
The Sylvanas.
So,
Yeah, but honestly, there is no
But that's
role in
not
this
bad.
deck.
but that by itself, yeah,
it's 10 power.
a 5/7 and a 5/5, and this is something a lot of players when they build their Nazoth decks, and frankly when they play their Nazoth decks, they try and just maximize. Like, oh, I want to get more. I want to play this and get more and more. I need a full board full of Death Rattle minions. Just this is very powerful for 10 mana.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is one of the misconceptions when Nazoth was first announced. Like, people thought that you have to build the Death Rattle decks with a lot of Death Rattle minions. And 1 or 2 minions are mostly fine if you get them back.
And works here for Chakki. He takes the first game against TerrenceM, and that Paladin deck, that's one that we think is probably the strongest for this particular matchup against Terrence.
Yeah, and I mean, we expected the Paladin to be able to win, but I gotta be honest here. I expected the Warrior to put up a bigger fight than that, and I felt like there were some tools, and I think Terrence took a line that he was trying to be really conservative and pick his spots, but unfortunately, the 2 patron attempts just got swatted down, so he went back into hermit mode of just like, all right, I'll conserve, and then forgetting that, oh, what if he just plays a big threat on the board like Nazoth? I just can't actually answer that. So a little bit, it didn't work out. It didn't work out, to say the least. But we're going to green number 2. Terrence will immediately try to shift gears and try to send that Shaman in to take out that Paladin.
I expect he'll play this game a little bit more aggressively than the last one. Probably no just saying go.
Is the Lava Burst to give you an indication of that, or no?
But yeah, he's debating exactly what he wants to keep in his opening hand. Argent Squire does give him a little bit of early aggression, but the 1 power, not a ton. That card's generally at its best against other minion-based decks where you can exchange with, say, villagers and whatever else.
Yeah, but it's not terrible because like if you get a bad hand, let's say with a possible Flametongue Totem, I'm not sure if he's playing 1 or 0, probably 0 in aggressive version, but it can save some boards. And he's definitely looking for Totem Golem and Trog. And even after he plays the Totem Golem, he will have enough mana to play the Argent Squire. So
yeah, definitely. Missing a turn 2 play as a Shaman and you have the hero power, it's so much missed damage and opportunity. You really want to try and get that Totem Golem early on. Even if you have to play like an Abusive Sergeant on turn 2, that's still fine. That is not exactly what Terrence is looking for. I mean, Doomhammer is pretty cool, but I mean, we do know that weapon removal exists in Chakki's deck, which is pretty scary.
Yeah, it's actually a slow hand. Like, we've mentioned Totem Golem. A Sentinel is a possible turn 2 play if you want to pressure a bit. Ancestral Knowledge can get you some cards, but this is not what you want to do early game. Like, early game, you want to pressure the Paladin.
And the Paladin deck has so much removal and so much healing, and that the way that the Shaman will be able to generally win is by getting ahead early on and keeping that pressure on, and eventually bridging that into Doomhammer, Burn, kill you. If you're not able to get that early pressure on, it can be very difficult to climb back into the game if the Paladin is able to get into a good spot.
Yeah, but there is still obviously Doomhammer and double Rockbiter, which just changes games. Like, you can be losing and suddenly a 16 damage swing is actually very big. Chakki didn't find a Doomsayer. Doomsayer is great in those spots versus aggressive decks early game. If you can just play it. Even if there's like a great opening, sometimes there is no way to kill the Doomsayer.
Yeah, so Eternal Sentinel just for the body. 3-2 here for Terrence on turn 2. It does allow him to get a little bit of pressure on at least.
Yeah, and like we said, the value of having a 2-mana minion, which is normally 3 damage around there, 2 to 3 damage, it can't be like understated. You can do 6, 9, sometimes even 12 damage if your opponent can't respond to it. And the only bad scenario is if they end up playing like a Doomsayer and you can't answer it. We've seen some players have that problem. They play like Totem Golem and then Doomsayer comes out and you're like, well, I'm 2 mana locked. I only have like Flame Juggler. That is usually the worst case scenario. And so for Terrence, this is actually a pretty good opportunity for him to finally get some damage on the board.
Yeah, definitely. He's still looking for something on turn 3, but Chakki is thinking about Humility. What do you guys think? I think Humility makes sense. Like, he can also coin Aldor Peacekeeper to do almost the same thing and have a minion on board, but then he's losing the coin, which will be really good for Stampeding Kodo, and Aldor can be answered easily.
Just decides to go ahead and use his hero power. He does have Pyromancer in his hand, and combined with Pyromancer, that 1/1 actually matters quite a bit. His opponent has effectively two health minions. There's a Divine Shield 1/1 and the 3/2. So he does have the possibility of actually just using that effectively as removal in the next couple turns.
Yeah, it's a tough turn for Chakki. You're really thinking about how he wants to spend his life total as a resource, essentially. It's very clear what the Shaman wants to do. He just wants to keep bashing Chakki until he has 0 health. Chakki, in the meantime, has to play this dance of like, well, I do have Forbidden Healing, and I don't want to lose my coin. How much life can I realistically give away? And with that Hunter hero power, it's not going to be that much more. I mean, that is a really scary thing for Chakki to stare down right now.
Yeah, that was a great great discover for Terrence off of Finley there. Definitely significantly increases his potential damage output over the game.
Yeah, definitely better than totems that just die to consecration and don't do anything else. So we can see probably a lot of hero powering from Terrence this game.
Oh yeah. Normally Shaman is an aggro Shaman, not totally happy to use their hero power, but now Smork.
Yeah, total smork. But then his hand doesn't look that great with just Trog and Argent Squire. Even though Trog can be buffed by the Doomhammer being played, I think Chakki will prioritize.
I do like this Pyromancer play to just address the board. Do you want to heal or do you want to part ways with the humility?
It looks like he's just going to go ahead and heal himself. It does let him play a Solemn Vigil for free because he kills his own minion and completely clears the board.
He's got answers for 7/7s for days.
Oh yeah, he is not afraid of Flame Wreath Faceless whatsoever with this hand.
At all. I like this play, by the way. Just clearing the board early, it's really good. As a control deck, you have to spend resources to be able to stop the damage because in the late game, you will be in a better shape.
I do like drawing cards as well. I think Chakki's realizing his hand was... it's so hard to be able to pull off a Solemn Vigil because he did have the consecration, but it wasn't exactly clean, and he doesn't know if he'll be able to pull off a good consecration later because the minions, like, there's no more totems that are coming out, so it's not like the Solemn Vigil will get easier to play. So I felt like that was a pretty good opportunity that Chakki took there.
Consecration's also quite a bit worse against Shaman compared to a lot of other minion-based decks because it does have higher health minions. There are the Totem Golems, Tunnel Trog, Feral Spirits. All of those survive consecration at base damage. So
which is so weird because in a vacuum environment, similar to like Arena, for example, consecration is like amazing against Shaman.
Yeah. Oh, but there is Doomhammer number 2. Not necessarily what you're looking for right away, but this does give Terrence a lot of damage right now, and crucially also brings his Tunnel Trog out of the range of being able to be killed by that Stampeding Coda right away.
Yeah, but Chakki has an Ooze in his deck, so he will be looking for that one, but
it doesn't have that much time.
Yeah, at least Terrence is doing some damage here.
And, you know, the second Doomhammer is at least insurance in case the weapon removal did come. Then maybe he'd be able to play at least another Doomhammer. But he's got a lot of damage, and Chakki does have some plays, but they're not pretty. I mean, the Stampeding Kodo just deals a single damage to the Argent Squire. Essentially.
It's worth noting, too, that Chakki has already played 1 copy of Forbidden Healing.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrence's ability to get a lot of damage in here with this Doomhammer, the 2 Lightning Bolts in his hand, the hero power, you know, this is going to be difficult for Chakki to come back from just the sustained damage over the game.
Absolutely. Even though he has some taunts and humility, this is a lot of damage coming from Terrence, so... How do you pull the trigger? You can still attack with the Doomhammer into a minion and then finish it off with the 1/1, but you might just go face with everything.
Flame Tongue here, too, allows him to potentially trade up into the 3/3 with his Argent Squire, as well as...
Protect the Trog.
Continue to use his hero power. Yeah, Protect the Trog. The Flame Tongue is an excellent victim for the Stampeding Kodo, however.
It is true, but it's so close. It's just like you want to rush your opponent. You could do 12 damage to him this turn. He already used the Forbidden Healing as well.
I kind of like.
I don't know. Like you have 6 more damage in hand and the hero power of Hunter. I feel like there is a case for going face.
You could potentially Lightning Bolt the 3/3, and I think this is what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Lightning Bolt the 3/3, Lightning Bolt the face.
To increase the damage.
I think you may see him attack the 1/1 with his Doomhammer to protect the 3/1.
I like it.
Or he could just go face with everything.
I like the case for face. I just think we just want to do a lot of damage. Put him down. Use that Hunter hero power as much as you can, and just threaten to end the game. Push the Paladin out of this game right now.
It's only turn 6, and you have to kill the board, heal yourself. One of the Forbidden Healing is already gone, and he's killing the Totem, but there's so much damage coming anyway.
I mean, this is a terrible position for Chakki here. He's down to just 11, facing 6 repeat damage between Doomhammer and the hero power. And, you know, the Abusive Sergeant not making things easier.
Yeah, that's 1 damage off, I think. Right now he has 2, 4, 6.
Yeah, he has 10
8,
damage,
10.
1 damage off lethal this turn, and Chakki has no healing in his hand.
Yeah, unless literally that card is Reno Jackson and it was able to activate next turn. I think Chakki is done. Because here's the big problem. Like, sure, you can spend your entire turn healing with, like, Forbidden Healing. But how long will that keep you alive compared to what can just follow up?
Not very long facing those weapons. And
And there it is.
Shaman.
Chakki's going to concede, so TerrenceM with his Shaman deck takes down the Paladin.
Yeah,
Alright,
this is something we predicted in a way, that Shaman is one of the decks that can shine for turns. The other one is the Reno Warlock, but he might not even have to use it. What's the next deck that Chakki can bring? Chakki has still a Priest, and
He also has a Warlock.
A Warlock.
I think the Zoo Warlock probably is Chakki's best chance to fight back. You don't have cards like Implosion anymore, which gives Shaman so many fits because they're not usually running the Lightning Storm. But at the same time, you do have some things that are really good. I mean, the fact that Flame Imp and the Void Walker early on still prevents a lot of problems, or provides a lot of problems for the Shaman to overcome, and you can still abuse the charge to trade up.
you have Defender Vargas.
It will be Priest, though. Chakki goes
Okay.
to his Priest deck for his Shaman Slayer here.
Wow. Okay, here's a question. The jock is already asking it. What do I keep, if anything, in this hand? Shadow or Death is an answer to that 4-mana 7/7 if it came. It also can take out Tunnel Drog in the worst case scenarios. But, I mean, it's just kind of like insurance here. You're willing to forgo some earlier plays because you really want to have that answer in case your opponent drops
It
that
kinda
bomb.
Look at
looks like the
Terrence's
worst
hand,
case
though.
scenario.
Look at Terrence's hand.
Double Truck
He has
into
double
Ancestral
Truck
Knowledge.
Ancestral Knowledge here.
This might be the worst case scenario when you want to Shadow or Death a Rock.
I mean, Chakki, he has the Excavated Evil that he is choosing the mulligan here, and that's one of the better cards in the matchup, though not necessarily something you want in your opening hand when you don't have the coin in particular. Because having to wait until turn 5, probably better to have some earlier game cards that you can fall back on.
Yeah, I
Unless
think he just wants Shadow or Pain or Cleric. Those are the only two cards I think that are...
Well,
that are eligible for
Soul
mulligans.
Priest and Arcanine plus the
That's
Circle of
funny.
Feeling is
Pain.
also alright.
Yeah, one Shadow or Pain is immense. It halves the damage of these Tunnel Trogs that they're going to do. Imagine if he picks up another one.
Entomb is not what he's looking for, however.
No,
I
not for now.
have been forced to entomb
Oh, I
a
have
one-drop
to. I have
before.
to. I've entombed a Tunnel Trog, and then I was like, okay, I just need anything this turn. I do Tunnel Trog.
Yeah,
Anything
I've
but that.
entombed Secret Keepers before.
Didn't help much.
All right, well, there
All right.
it is.
Double Ancestral Knowledge. If those Trogs are there unchecked, they will deal a lot of damage.
One of them's getting checked this turn by Shadow or Pain, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a solid play.
Yeah, there's too much threat with the Tunnel Trogs. If you cut the damage in half, it all of a sudden becomes manageable to a certain degree. Sure, you Ancestral Knowledge, but you took your entire turn to cast it.
But the problem is the rest of the hand is actually bad. What do you buff with Fire Shield? You will have to just heal yourself for a couple of turns unless you pick up something to play.
At least not something that Chakki can really make any use of right now. Likely going to see just a heal self. Classic early game Priest.
Sure, but the nice thing is that Shaman is also overloaded for 2, so
It's true.
the worst case scenario is an Abusive Sergeant, that's the most damage, and then of course there's Serpently Murgleton and an Argent Squire, which are a little bit weaker, but more durable.
But Shaman has a good start, so we'll see how it goes. Elise, a solid play, as mentioned. Then there's the 7/7 Flame Breathed.
Yeah, I mean,
Faceless.
we did see Chakki debate keeping that Shadow or Death in his opening hand, and Terrence has exactly the reason why, which not only is a 7/7, but also buffs the Tunnel Trog big enough that it can potentially kill Elise.
Is the Faceless the play here though? Because maybe you can do something else like Flame Tongue and take care of Elise.
Flame Tongue Lightning Bolt is a plus another Argent Squire is a totally reasonable possible line of play this turn as well. It prevents your opponent from having any board to contest your own, and does push a significant amount of damage as well.
It opens you to Excavated Evil though. So
It's true.
like you have to right now think what is the card that Chakki kept in his hand, or like he got after it mulligan. Do you play more around Shadow or Death, or do you play more around Excavated Evil?
I like it.
Did
Now
not
there's
miss.
2 death
Did
targets.
not miss damage to face. Chakki does have Powered Shield, so he can suit up Elise here, so it can survive tangling with the Tunnel Trog.
Oh, that's funny.
Map already. He really wanted to get Arcanine Soul Priest.
Or Shadow or Death. either of those would have been great. He still can also fish one more turn, or for one more draw, excuse me, with another Shadow Power Word Shield. And if that hits the Shadow Word Death, then Chakki honestly is not in that bad spot at all.
Yeah, just kill the Chog as well.
He might be debating just whether he needs to play Shifting Shade this turn for board presence.
Yeah.
Because he does choose to go fishing with Power Word Shield, he will not have enough mana to actually deploy another minion on the board.
It's not terrible because he still deals with the Chog right now, right here, and Elise stays on board and is not threatened by the 1/1. And you do have that board presence with the Shifting Shade.
It's not threatened right now, but it is potentially threatened by either Flame Tongue or Lightning Bolt or anything like that.
Oh, he
He's just going to go ahead, find Excavated Evil.
It looked kind of like purpley. I wasn't sure.
It was similar
But
looking.
it wasn't meant to be. The Excavate Evil, another card that can be pretty useful, but for now, he's just going to pocket it.
All right, well,
Let's
only
see, he's got
3 mana for Terrence this turn.
Pretty uncomfortable.
Well, you can still go face.
Can always go face.
12 damage to
How
face
much
with the
damage
Flame
does he
Tongue.
have?
15 face if he wants to. But it's still right to just evolve minions and use the Flame Tongue a bit later.
He's gonna go. Yeah, it looks like he's gonna clear off Elise. He doesn't want to run the risk of that Elise potentially getting, say, healed with a North Shore, finding Chakki an answer to the. Oh, but there is Soul Priest.
So close.
And this is. Yeah, he's 1
man.
damage off actually be able to kill the 7/7 with Akanai Circle and Ping.
So now he's just going to entomb it, but now there's 3 more damage on the board, and that adds up. I mean, sure, 3 still feels far away from finishing out 14, but with Flame Tongue and Argent Horse Rider.
7 plus 4, 11 damage.
Yep.
So 3 damage off.
Sneaks in the Horse Rider between his minions after attacking. So Chakki down to just 3 life here. Flash Heal, that's a huge draw.
Yeah, Flash Heal allows him to clear the board and stay alive, but
Yeah, is it enough though? Because
it's very close still. I see that he probably has to either go Akanai in the clear, or he can try to play Excavate Evil and wait it out, but I don't really like either.
I mean, he can
play.
Flash Heal himself,
Right.
then play Akanai Circle, ping your guy if he wants, which leaves him at a reasonable life totals, so he's unlikely to die immediately to burn.
yeah, the problem is he will then have to kill his own Akanai because he will not be able to heal. Right?
It'll be a 3-1, so I think it's very killable.
Yeah, it's easy to deal with at that point, and I think, yeah, we're going to see exactly that. Akanai Circle, ping off your Divine Shielded minion, leaving himself out of range of anything this turn except for a 2-shot combo.
Doomhammer.
Do we see Doomhammer? Do we see Lava Burst?
Yeah, those are all possibilities. He can go fishing for it too. With
And there's the Ancestral Knowledge as well.
And the card is
Sir Finley.
It's not bad,
So
but first he'll go fishing.
You can still get the Lava Burst.
No, just minions.
Yeah.
So you Finley.
Which plays perfectly into Excavate Evil.
Yeah, I mean, Chakki has answers to minions. He was, had this 1-turn window that he had just 8 life to work with. What will we find off Sir Finley?
Maybe you'll take the Mage Hero Power or the Hunter one. Either
Lifetime?
one would be great.
Lifetime is right as well.
Yeah, Lifetime is great. Druid Hero Power is also okay. The worst ones are like, the Warrior, the Priest, and
Paladin.
Even the Rogue isn't too bad here.
It would be okay. It's gonna be pinged.
Very
So
reasonable.
this lets him kill the Akanai, which does unlock Chakki's ability to heal, but he doesn't have any burst in his hand. So Chakki, is going to. The Flash Heal though.
He can sustain.
That is going to give Chakki even more breathing room.
Yeah, more time. But he is not able to clear this board. So Excavated Evil is out of the question for now. What do you play? Do you play Sylvanas because it's the biggest minion you can play? Or do you go for Shifting Shade and Flash Heal and heal yourself with Lesser Heal?
It feels like if you want to be really safe, you just play the Shifting Shade and Flash Heal yourself. You go back up to 15 health. Even a Rockbiter Doomhammer can't kill you at that point. And I think your goal is to survive. Sylvanas might not even steal a minion.
Rockbiter Doomhammer actually would exactly kill him because of the hero power.
Oh, right, the Mage Hero Power.
Well, he may be overloaded, so that might not be true. Yeah, he is overloaded from the
he would be
Ancestral
overloaded.
Knowledge.
So he only have 5.
He has 5.
Actually, can't even Rockbiter. Oh,
Yeah,
there's
he
the
has-
Doomhammer, though.
Oh, okay, so that's what
he
he
does
was
not have
banking on.
Rockbiter.
He has everything though, right?
But he doesn't have enough mana.
He has the more.
No, he has the ability to heal.
Oh, he does.
Hero
No, you're
Power.
right.
yeah.
You're right. He just had enough that in his
Exactly.
hand there. He needed the Flash Heal and he died.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
Chakki-
that's going to wrap it up. But, I mean, Terrence getting a Game 3 win over Chakki is just massive because I don't know if Chakki can answer the Shaman. And for so long, he's been talking about the fact that he's okay dealing with Shaman, just bans the Rogue and makes sure he doesn't have to deal with it. But Shaman's another problematic class, and for good reason. Now you can see why. I mean, Terrence was even talking about the same strategy as other people. They didn't really practice Shaman that much. He just thinks that he brings Shaman because he's expecting to get banned. But now that he's able to play it, that's 2 very big wins, and now he's 1 game away from becoming the DreamHack Grand Prix champion.
Yeah, Shaman finally unleashed, and it actually reminds me of people who try to counter Patron. Like, a lot of people try to bring lineups to counter Patron in the previous metagame, and they failed many times. So Shaman might be the new Patron. Like, the deck, when you try to counter it, it can surprise you and just go 3-0.
Yeah, well, if there is a deck that is good against aggressive Shaman decks, it is Zoo. Zoo typically does cause these decks to struggle because it tends to have stronger early game plays and those minion buffs to take out the bigger minions that the Overload Shaman deck does play.
Yeah, the kitty clubs come off for Chakki. He's like, all right, I've been playing slow decks all weekend. Let's bust out a little fast one. Let's see what Chakki's got here. Now, Zoo against Shaman has definitely struggled a lot more in recent times because of the loss of things like Implosion, but you still have ability to win the game. I'm guessing Chakki still has Sea Giants. I'm guessing that he still has the ability to Defender of Argus and present these big walls that he can't get past. But, I mean, if you just look at Forbidden Ritual versus Implosion and Dark Councilman versus some of these other like Biggie Stick Death Rattle minions, it just doesn't really line up to the old Zoo, which was favored against the Shaman.
Yeah, it's all about the early game, and we can see no Trog for now for Terrence. Argent Squire, though, is pretty alright versus Zoo, and Feral Spirit also, just to have more power on board and be able to deal with Dark Peddlers and nerfed Juggler.
Argent Squire is a good answer to a lot of the early game plays, but not Flame Imp. It does trade over 2 turns with Flame Imp if it doesn't get, say, Mortal Coiled, which Chakki did just draw, but it can't answer it right away.
It's an interesting choice to put into the Zoo deck deliberately. I haven't actually seen Mortal Coil be put in the list in quite some time. And I think it's a nod to show that like he might use Zoo to counter other decks that play Zoo-ish styles, like pretty much that, or even just like be able to keep up with Paladins and push them out of the game.
All right, so Totem for Terrence. Healing Totem not really all that impactful on this board.
Yeah, not using Lightning Bolt because he wants to play Feral Spirit on turn 3, so he doesn't want to overload himself.
Is going to present the possibility of the 2-turn trade, but Chakki does have Mortal Coil to prevent that if he chooses.
I think it makes sense to coil. You can play Abusive still after that and deal 5 damage to face, or even just kill the totem to avoid the Flame Tongue.
Yeah, I think controlling the board against the Shaman player is much more valuable. Now that you drew the Possessed Villager, I think that gives you another reason of why you should probably play more board-centric.
Yeah.
Because then you can pick up better trades with Abusive Sergeant. You can play Knife Juggle before that. You might even get like an opportunity to juggle, which will certainly present itself with the Feral Spirits. And this is the opening that Chakki was looking for. Zoo just needs a little bit, and they'll run away with the game.
Yeah, he also got Defender of Argus, which is a great card in this matchup, especially if he has the board control, and it shouldn't be difficult from this perspective.
Another Juggler picked up by Chakki. Not quite as powerful as it used to be. Can't necessarily by itself trade into some of these things, but does offer some knives thrown. Here it's actually a little bit awkward. There's no particularly high-value knife opportunities. Right now, if he were to trade into the board, he'd have 2 different 3-attack minions, assuming he'd Abusive Sergeant, going into those 3-health minions as well.
Possible face damage if you hit it one. So, and also you prepare, for Defender of Argus next turn, so should be right. Do you guys remember if there was Lightning Storm or Elemental Destruction in the Shaman list? I don't believe there was any.
I don't think we've seen one that I can recall, at least. So he does get 1 Juggle to face, Wasted Juggle on the Spirit Wolf that does get attacked down. And now
Terrence is
overloaded this turn. He can play a Trog and Lightning Bolt or Lightning Bolt Rockbiter here, but he's falling behind, and this is exactly the style of Zoo opening that makes it difficult for the Shaman to come back.
I think Trog and Rockbiter is a bit better because then you will be able to play Doomhammer next turn and try controlling the board with the swings.
He's just going to go ahead and Hero Power, though.
Okay, so I'm guessing he's still going to go on the Doomhammer plan, but if he plays a Tunnel Trog, it still just dies to the board, and he probably doesn't like that fact. In fact, he can use Doomhammer to control the board initially, or if he's drawing more burst, maybe he just goes for phase. But I think right now, Terrence is not looking very optimistic about his chances and just going to play very conservatively.
What do you think about just forbidden ritualing this turn if you're in
I like
Chakki's
it.
seat?
I like
mean, you
it.
just... He may even... Oh, he get a coin juggler ritual. Yeah, he's going to get all kinds of throws here. Yeah, look at this. He's just going to go ahead and create a huge board. And like we were saying, the Shaman aggro decks don't typically have much in the way of board clear.
Yeah, this board cannot be answered.
So many knives.
And it's almost done. Like, he also has Leroy, so he will be able to play it next turn if a minion is being played. So, looks pretty good for Chakki.
Did Chakki miss a damage? I think he could have traded the 1/1 and then summon an extra 1/1, which gives him a second juggle. I don't know. It really does. I don't know if it'll end up mattering, but in some of these scenarios where both decks are rather aggressive, you do try to squeeze out every point of damage.
He had 5 total mana, so he coined, played a juggler,
and then,
so he only was able to make three tentacles.
Yeah.
He had 5 total mana, 5 total mana spent.
Right,
so no, he
right.
did that right.
Yeah. I was just counting it as like if you could squeeze in the 4. You're correct. Well, in this case, Terrence, look, he's still stuck in the same position as he was before, except now he's working with just 18 health.
Does he have any way to actually just win the game with Rockbiter and Burst over the next couple of turns?
So if he goes Doomhammer 4th face, what happens?
He just gets attacked for
it's
10.
So bad. It's so bad. There's
Goes at 23. If he say draws the second Rockbiter, then he would have actually he'd only have 22 even over 2 turns if he draws the second Rockbiter.
Yeah.
So there's no possible 2-turn lethal even with the perfect draw for Terrence. So he has to try and do something to come back on this board.
So he uses the spells and plays Chalk to be able to answer the situation here. Keeping the Rockbiter for later.
I guess at this point, you just have to try and play for the board, but you're just so far behind. You know Zoo benefits off of this so much.
Power overwhelming.
10 damage in the hand. You can't play all of it, though. Okay, so he's
4
got
damage off.
2,
1
6,
mana off.
8, 12. 12 damage right now. No need to rush, I guess.
Yeah, just going to go ahead and send those minions in. And like we were saying, there's not much that this Shaman deck can do from this kind of position. Chakki has all that burst in hand and control of the board. Feral Spirits does complicate matters, though.
It's something, but with
stems the bleeding.
Power in Leroy, isn't that enough, though? You spend 3 damage, it's 11. Yeah, it will be off. I think it's 11 damage to face.
I wonder.
I don't really see how he could really climb back without a Lightning Storm, because you're also expecting cards like Direwolf Alpha. I mean, let's just assume that Chakki doesn't have a Leroy Power Overwhelming Burst. You're just thinking about what you can do to climb back onto this board. So he has to use Lightning Bolt in order to help stabilize a little bit. And there's just so many ways that Zoo can punish from this point on, let alone some of their big bombs like Sea Giant.
Another ritual.
And it's worth noting, Chakki hasn't even life tapped yet. This has just all been with the cards he's just naturally drawn. There's a Direwolf Alpha. That allows him to just battle through this board
Summon more
easily.
tentacles as well, why not? And just present the threats, and Chakki is pretty close to tying up the series, unless Terrence can whip out a magical AoE spell off the top of his deck.
And the last deck for Terrence will be his Reno Lock, so the tables might get turned. Chakki will get a shot, though.
Yeah, gonna reduce the damage on the board a little bit, but
All right,
dear.
all right, we get the point, Chakki. It's he's dead.
The man has a family.
This is a very cool version of the deck, by the way, with Leroy and Soulfire. This might actually tip the scales for the next mentioned combo.
Yeah, I mean, he has, we saw a lot of interesting tech decisions from Chakki in that deck. Not only the Mortal Coil to give him a little bit more game against other minion-based decks, but also the Soulfire, like you mentioned, for even more burst, which can be very important against a deck like Reno Lock.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people really don't look at Zoo, they look at Zoo and they think minions and they don't think spells. So a card like Soulfire is very surprising, but at the same time, Terrence knows Soulfire's in the deck, so it's not necessarily as surprising. And a deck like Reno Lock only benefits from more information. In fact, part of the reason why I underestimated Reno Lock as well as a bunch of other players is that the meta hasn't settled yet. And the Control Warlock style always gets better with more information because they know the ranges of what they need to play, how much AoE, how much defensive cards, how many taunts they need, and then how they tap accordingly. They're usually one of the slowest to adapt to the metagame. But with full information, I feel like Terrence has some of the tools that he needs, and he already knows what to prepare for against Chakki, who's going to game number 5. The winner of this takes it all between Chakki and Terrence.
Who is a better Warlock? That's a big question. And the better one is going to take the trophy and the main prize.
We were saying, at the start of this match that these are, two players who brought 8 different decks to the table, and while these may be the same class, they're definitely very different styles. Chakki looking to curve out quickly, put the pressure on. Terrence looking to take the game late and win through powerful board clears and individually strong cards.
Chakki's zooming and enhancing. Look at him. He's just hunched over. He's super focused.
Oh, yeah.
The VLPS stare down. Trying to channel all of his inner focus to be able to figure out the right place. He was looking at this mulligans and even thinking about what to keep, but I mean, at this point, it doesn't really feel like you can complain. Flame In, Ban Dark Peddler are some of the best 1 and 2 plays you can have.
This is a tough matchup for Chakki. He has one shot. If he wins, it will not look like it was tough, but in theory, he needs the perfect curve. And no answers from Terrence. Terrence was looking for that Hellfire at least. Forbidden Ritual, another interesting card in the Reno deck. Ooh. So he has some answers.
Yeah, Hellfire's a big deal. There's only 1 copy of it in the deck, and he managed to find it.
Both players here, though, have pretty strong draws. Chakki with the Flame Imp to open, and a good Peddler into Imp Gang Boss to follow up.
Yeah. Giant can actually be very tricky with the Forbidden Ritual being played, if it gets played.
That's hilarious, you're right. The Forbidden Ritual's like, yes, I can finally climb back on the board, and
no.
I summoned a Sea Giant.
What have I done?
Forbidden Ritual, spend all your mana, summon 1/1s, summon a Sea Giant for your opponent.
This is interesting, actually, because the Voidwalker is usually just the best of these, but in a matchup where your opponent isn't necessarily fighting with small minions, doesn't stop much, he takes the boar.
Yeah, you just need to kill him before he drops Reno.
It is a card that can have Power Whelming attached to it in case you need to have it in a pinch.
Nice.
Because he's anticipating his opponent potentially life tapping, and sometimes you have Power Whelming, but it sits dead in your hand. And sure, you have a minion like Direwolf Alpha, but sometimes you need to go face. And I think that card was really hard to pick out from the Voidwalker, which is just much more value on paper.
Ooh, and then that would have been incredible last turn for Terrence. The Doomsayer would have allowed him to just really threaten Chakki's board. Although he did actually have the Direwolf Alpha that could have cleared things up fairly easily. Coin for the Twilight Drake does give Terrence the biggest body on the board.
For now, it looks like it's alright for Chakki, actually. He still has a lot of minions. Hellfire doesn't fully answer it and even puts Terrence lower. So Terrence needs to find that Reno Jackson for turn 6. If he finds it, he might just steal the game right there. If he doesn't, Chakki has so much burst. He still has Leroy. He has Soulfire in the deck. And now a Flying Pig.
He's got Boar Power Overwhelming, the classic burst kill.
I mean, he sees the Soulfire, he sees the Power Overwhelming coming, but does he see the Boar? I don't know if he'll play around it. It'll be hard. But one thing for sure, though, is that Terrence knows that that's a Peddler card. So you sometimes assume worst-case scenario. What if he has another Power Overwhelming or another Soulfire?
Shifter Zarus. And then
Shifter Zarus is a possibility.
It could be anything. It could be a boat.
That is a sick reference, man. 10 out of 10. All right, well, he's just going to use the Power Overwhelming now. Does he push the board for 2 more damage?
Weave in some Boar aggro. There it is.
Boar. Yeah.
Terrence is already down to 13. Chakki has him on an incredibly fast clock here.
And
Hellfire, he puts down to 10.
Yeah, Hellfire doesn't actually deal.
It doesn't
with
even
board.
clear.
Yeah, there's still a small imp and a 2/1.
That board might be able to sneak in 4 damage, which is just as good as Soulfire. Or without you not discard a card.
So is Hellfire the only option you have here?
Hellfire puts him down to 9 life, still leaves 3 power on the opposing side of the board.
So you're down to 6, so you're dead to Leroy, and Leroy is for 5 mana. There's 5 mana for Chakki next turn.
I mean, but at the same time, Terrence doesn't really have. He takes as much damage if he doesn't Soulfire.
Yeah.
Or Hellfire rather. I think that's his only realistic option here.
So if you kill the 2/4, it's you still take too much damage. If you kill the wolf, it's similar.
Oh, man.
Oh wow, just a Shadow Bolt.
Shadow Bolt.
Oh
Shadow
no,
the wolf?
changed his mind.
Yeah, these are the times when the Reno Warlock, or just Control Warlock in general, really miss cards like Dark Bomb, because it just doesn't let you squeeze in the other plays that are much better. Just tosses in the Abusive Sergeant. Please give me some health.
Oh, but that actually
Whoa,
is that he could
5, 7.
he could activate
11.
Gormok by attacking it.
You can also just play Abusive Sergeant and do it.
Isn't that 11
This
damage?
is, I think
That's
this
11,
is very
though.
close. 4, 5, 6, 7. You're right, 11 damage.
So close, and it's a good thing that he didn't Hellfire.
The best part is that
Yeah.
Terrence actually has only 500 extern, so he will not be able to play Reno Jackson even if he has it.
You're right. And there's no like Sludge Belchers left in the deck.
So only,
Oh, sorry, left in standard.
only
I mean.
possible Shadow Flame.
Yeah, again, just go straight to the dough. I don't care anymore. It's
Yeah.
like at this point, Chakki says, "There's no way you can have the Reno Jackson. Even if you Hellfire, you die."
So is there an out?
Big Game Hunter is not it. Terrence, just 3 life to work with.
Oh no, Terrence came so
Hellfire
close. Yet
is-
so
that's
far.
Chakki is the champion.
Chakki becomes the DreamHack Hearthstone Grand Prix champion, finally securing his first big tournament win after years of getting second place.